Hey, long time no talk
Well, we've
on the
talked.
pod. No pod. Long
We're
time
just
no
yeah.
pod.
This summer has just moved to a bi-weekly podcast experience, which is okay. Okay,
Yeah.
enjoying the sun out there, doing some deals, and we're back with another market minute.
Yeah. And the market is something to talk about for sure. Oh,
Isn't it? We are doing our quick segment called The Market Minute. We're going to cover everything you need to know about the Boston real estate market in 30 minutes or less. Everything to do with inflation, interest rates, inventory positions, and local market data. Brendan and Seth will cover it all. Covering it all. I can't believe
as
that worked.
always. I can't believe that. Is that the first time it's worked without
I hit the
assistance?
button. It was just
Yeah.
moving on like it wasn't going to work. And lo and behold,
Oh,
here,
crushing light today.
we're killing it right now. We're killing it.
We
with all the
are
sound
killing
effects.
it.
So, yeah. Listen, it's been a minute since the minute, and listen, what is the deal with interest rates, Brendan? What is going on? They are misbehaving.
Does anybody
Mortgage
know?
News Daily. No, nobody knows. Nobody.
Nobody knows.
In fact, I think there was an article recently that I really enjoyed on Mortgage News Daily. Let me pull it back up here. It was rates are officially breaking the rules, but why? Right? This was supposed to be the week where a key inflation report would cast a vote on the fate of interest rate momentum. The vote was ostensibly friendly, but rates surged higher anyway. What gives? Thank you, Mortgage News Daily. What does give? Because everything's going in the right direction, and it ain't working. It ain't working out there. So,
Oh, I think the Fed is not going to be going in the right direction, is what it sounds like, is that the economy is still booming. And this recession that everybody's been waiting for, like waiting for Guffman, is just not
I don't know.
arrived yet.
I don't know who that is.
Oh,
You
dude,
continue to drop. You
your
continue
movie
to drop.
references are horrible.
That's true.
So,
I will go.
Waiting for Guffman
There's
is
been
from
so
like the
many.
same people
Go
that
ahead.
did like Best in Show.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Best in Show?
Nope. Keep going. Let's keep
Oh.
going. Hit me with them.
Like all the Dan Levy
Don't know who that is.
and oh my god, and the lady who was in oh shit, the one where they were in Sicily, and the year before that they were in Hawaii. Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh
Jennifer
yes,
Coolidge
I did
is in
watch.
it.
That was a television show.
Yep. So anyway, Waiting for Guffman was like they were this little town hired this like
White Lotus.
fancy
Great show.
White Lotus. Good show. Good show. Never mind. We won't get into Waiting for Guffman, but it's like,
Did you catch the reel from Whitney Houston yet?
oh, I saw it. I'm just waiting for
Yeah,
it to drop.
that's-
I
can't-
showed
that'll
it. I had people.
That'll be
I
a
had
goodie.
people in the office watch it. It will be a good one.
Yeah. I'm
So
glad
my
you
buddy
crossed.
was at Home Goods, and he was trying to buy something, and there was only one of them, and he went to go get a cart, and while he went to get the cart, somebody else took his item, and he lost his shit
Oh.
in Home Goods and was like demanding the managers roll the tapes, and he's like, show me the tapes, show me the tapes, and he was like losing his mind. So we always are like,
Fitting.
show me the receipts.
I get it.
I mean,
Listen,
it just comes in handy. Like, there are so many instances where you could demand to be shown the receipts.
I will YouTube the clip just solely for the podcast's sake.
Yeah.
This may shock you, but my squirrel brain immediately forgot about that entire moment post podcast until I saw the reel.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Do you know that Whitney and Bobby had a reality show
No, I didn't.
that
know
you can get on YouTube? It like one of the episodes is Bobby getting out of jail, and they're at like a Hilton in downtown Atlanta for like his conjugal post-release visit. It is unreal. And then they go to like, I don't know, someplace in the Bahamas. I mean,
imagine you're a listener who tuned in to just be schooled with knowledge about the market minute, and we
are
immediately
talking about Whitney and Bobby.
have just I don't even know. This is the best part about podcasting is somehow you said something where you had a good point, and for
Yeah,
5 minutes now we've been talking about something that has
yeah.
nothing to do with anything.
We've been talking about the recession that hasn't arrived. And in
Right.
fact, I was reading something yesterday that was
Good
calling
pivot.
it
Good pivot.
the rich session. And that,
Really?
typically in a recession, the job loss is usually on the blue collar side. And what we are seeing over the last 7 to 8 months is that the job loss has been in the white collar section. There has not been, there are still a lot of job openings, but those folks that are affected, are potentially, it wasn't clear if they are still unemployed. Some several 100,000 job losses were announced in tech and finance, which unfortunately
When
for
did that come out?
Boston, it was on CNBC. It was on the headline, and in fact, it is maybe still up. Yeah, as recession fears fade, we may experience a rich session instead. Here's what that means for you.
Interesting.
And that is on CNBC right now, sort of like below the headlines. So, just the whole thought that the Fed's tightening of interest rates would effectively break the market and lead to a cooling off of basically the rise in prices and inflation
Yeah.
has counterintuitively not materialized yet. And it sounds like the end is not in sight. The stock market is starting to cool off. Earnings are like Target had their earnings today. They didn't do so great. I think they lowered their expectations for next quarter. You know, it is an interesting environment out there. I think right now we're in the summer doldrums where people aren't paying attention. I would assume the trading volume is lower than normal. Most times when you see market crashes, they tend to be in the fourth quarter, cool down after the summer. I believe 2008, when things really got going, was late September, early October. Um, when the market really started to crash. I think
Do you think that's
19
going to happen?
I don't know, 1919 when the big crash, that was in October as well. October historically has been when markets crash. Um so,
Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe it's this year, maybe it's not. There's still a lot of talk about a soft landing.
I think yeah,
Um
I think
you
we're in a
know,
soft landing zone. I got to be honest with you. I think the
well,
thing
I,
that
I why?
yeah, if you let me get a word in, I would tell you. So, I
Well, it's called the
listen.
word.
I think the facts are this. Yes, inflation I think is hurting every household. I mean, personally, we're being significantly more conscious with our money than we've ever been in our life. We're attempting to set better budgets. We've pivoted how we eat, which was a huge part of everyone's. I think I don't know about you, but like we went from eating out a lot to meal prep to making more meals at home, right? Like very cognizant of how we're spending our money because it's unbelievable what groceries cost, right? And what eating out costs. And so we're just being more conscious about that. At the same time, what we're not doing is we're not spending money in retail, right? And so you just mentioned the retail sector, and obviously, like the people that I know in retail, it doesn't sound like it's the best environment right now. I think folks are spending less on the unnecessary items in their household, right? Delaying further purchases. I'll give you another example. Like I'm sure you know this. We were gonna purchase a new car for Jen. We've had it for 4 or 5 years. Time to do the trade in, right? And like we were thinking about it, like what's our interest rate now versus what's going to be the interest rate in that new car? Like we're all set. And I read another fun fact related more so to house buying. Like every $50,000 in car debt you have right now, you're actually removing about $250,000 in your buying power. Okay, so
I saw
that's
that
another
too
fun fact,
today.
right? So like
Yeah.
that's compacting the housing market separately, but long story short, we're being more cognizant. Now, that being said, and I'm sure most people are doing that, the amount of money that the employed are making right now is up 9% year over year statistically. So
Mm-hmm.
sure, things cost more, but that's starting to wean down. Again, it's a year over year stat. And so, that's the fun fact about year over year stats and curbing inflation. And listen, I'm no economist. I don't even understand how this works, but if it's year over year and or trailing 12 months, whatever it is, and you went up 30% one year and now you're comping over it, like doesn't that mean it's just not that much over last year? Because if it is,
But it's
that's still
really sucky compared to 2 years ago because
correct.
it's
Yeah. So like I want to
last
see the
year's increase plus this year's increase.
yeah, plus the year before that's increased, right? So
Yeah, right.
um
This is why you
anywho,
don't have your money in a savings account in a bank, right? Like it gets
right,
devalued daily because everything
right.
else went up at a much higher rate than
Yeah,
your interest in your bank account.
right. So I think the folks that are still I think there's still some budgetary constraints that people are doing. But I mean, at the end of the day, some of that was frivolous spending in and of itself. And we're talking about, all different people's of net worth. I'm sure everyone's impacted, obviously, super differently. But the folks that are at least in the home buying phase of things, their income's up almost 10%, right? Outrunning inflation. And so, sure, things cost more money, but you're also making more money. So for that reason, I feel like it's less of a bigger deal on some of the higher income earners than it is, obviously in the blue collar type stuff. So,
Well, and I would think it's less of, so it's more of a big deal too if you're in an apartment and
100%.
you're paying rent versus you want to buy a house, right? Like if you're in a
Yeah.
house, you're kind of like you and Jen with your car, right? Like do you want a
I am
new
moving.
car? Sure, they're fun. I love new
I want a new
cars.
house.
But yeah,
Right. But
but
we ain't moving because we're
you're
in,
in a great interest rate. Why would you
right.
you and every
Right.
other seller in the world is like, man, I'm all
Right.
good. I'm gonna
Right.
stick with
I,
this for a while.
what I will tell you is I think that I'm starting to see more of the not caring about interest rates from the upsizer than I thought I would have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
if you think about just my family, young family, I mean, we moved 2 years ago. We have a killer rate, but we don't have that huge chunk of appreciation equity. We have some, sure, but we don't have the 10-year chunk that the vast majority of upsizers do right now. If you bought in 2012, 13, 14, right? And as your kids, like someone came into our open house this weekend and said, 10 years ago when we bought, we had kids. Now we have adult kids. We need adult kid space. It's like, well said, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so now they're looking for bigger homes. They're looking for that second living room where the kids can have people over. They're looking for the pool with the yard, like where their kids can go enjoy themselves and be kids at home versus at someone else's house, right? So, and sure, they are perturbed at a 7.25% interest rate, but they also owe $180,000 on their now valued at $750,000 house, and they're only going to be financing $300,000 or $400,000, and they'll suck it up, I think, right? So I saw way more of that the last few weeks than I did the previous 6 months. I think the tolerance is starting to fade. That being said, first time home buyer, it's tough out there, right? Those and for that reason, I'm seeing more people shift into alternative housing. Like we had a lot of activity on our newest multifamily listing, and the people who bought it sold their single family. They sold it first because they could not get their offer accepted with a home sale contingency, still in a hot market because we have no inventory. And secondly, they are making the multifamily work for their family, truly with generational living, not like house hacking. Parents, mother-in-law, father-in-law, people are moving in, and they're going to occupy the other two units as their single family because to get something of similar space, they'd be paying significantly more over their budget. So I think people are getting creative, and also I think people are caring less. This had nothing to do with your comment about affordability, about soft landing, but somehow we ended up on it. So, and we obviously know, I think, as long as the housing market stays strong, which inventory is starting to build, we were just talking about it offline. single family homes
Mm-hmm.
in Essex County alone is finally up to about 4,200 homes. We barely sniffed 3,000 for a period of time, but it's still not enough
For
inventory.
months. Yeah,
It's still not enough inventory.
and
Yeah, so it is starting to
definitely
build, which
not.
is good.
And we don't know what the value of that inventory is, like where it falls from a pricing structure.
Yeah, I was actually just going to pull that real quick because
Oh, perfect.
I would guarantee it's still the same, right?
Skewing on the higher end.
Yeah, and it's funny. I know we always look at Essex County and Middlesex as kind of like the best I don't know, litmus test, whatever you want to call it. But as an example, we have a single family home in Essex County right now. It's close to $1 million, and that's the upsizer home that we saw a lot of traffic at this past weekend. It was funny to me, like how many people were like not ready to move, but saw the property and are trying to put things in motion to make it happen. So it's a very interesting market
Yeah.
out there. There's definitely a lot more patience from buyers
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. So, okay, so what's your guess here? Let's see. The low price, we were always drawing the line at 750. Is that what it was?
Yeah, we were calling anything under 750 in the affordable portion because there was really nothing much below 750.
Right. So let's see here. Was it 750 or was it 800?
I think we pick.
Dude, you're
I
not
thought
gonna
we were
believe.
doing 750. I
You're
thought
not
we
gonna
were
believe
doing
this.
750.
All
All
right, I'm
right,
gonna go back
of
to
the
750.
3,400,
No, there's 4,200 homes directionally on the market right now.
4,200.
And
Okay.
mind you, the last time we did this, there was like 3,000. Okay.
Yeah.
We were teetering between 26 and 3,000 homes, and not even 10% of them were affordable under
Yeah.
that $750,000 price point. I want you to guess what it is right now. It's high.
700.
1,964 homes.
Wow. Okay, so what's that telling us about the market?
That's a lot. That's a giant
Increase.
change.
Yeah.
So
Huge
that means
change.
out of that 1,200 homes directionally that we've seen this bulk of inventory increase in Essex County, like a lot of them were these entry level homes.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good for inventory.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just shooting from the hip here. I think it tells two
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah, I want to hear what the stories are.
Well, first off, why are they not sold?
Well, my next question is, can you see days on inventory?
Yeah.
Days on market rather of those,
Yeah, 100%.
or average day on market in that price range?
Yeah. Let's see.
Cuz today's Wednesday, is that stuff that just came on? No.
All right, hold on 1 second. So, just a little retraction.
Oh, okay. Did we do the query wrong?
We might have done all of the MLS.
Oh, makes more
Yes.
sense.
So half of the homes on the market out of the 4,200 are under 750. When we circle back to just Essex County, okay,
Yeah.
there's 397 homes on the market.
Okay, that's more in line with what we were seeing all fall, all spring.
Now, out of the
It's actually lower. It's lower than
lower.
what we were seeing previously.
because it was like 600 or 700 historically.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the 400, let's say 132 are under 750,000.
Wow.
So that's actually lower than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, hey Nick, just cut this part out that we talked about this because that is it's still a huge issue from an inventory standpoint. There's no question about it. It's crazy, man. There's just no houses.
But there's a lot more inventory, so the inventory is piling up at the higher price range.
Let me see. Tough to make that proclamation.
Okay.
Because I don't think piling up is 400 houses in the entire county.
I thought you said there were 4,000 houses in the whole county.
In Massachusetts MLS PIN. we
Oh, in
usually,
Massachusetts, there's only 4,000.
yeah. So I've been trending this line
Yeah.
when we started doing this in the spring.
Yeah.
22 to 2,500 houses is where we always like we're ebbing and flowing. It started to push to the high 2000s as we started
Yeah.
summer, and
Yeah.
then it finally hit 3,000 as we headed closer to the 4th of July.
That's
Um,
right.
and in the last 8 weeks, it's basically gone up another 30% to
Got
4,200
it.
homes in all of MLS PIN period, Massachusetts,
Got it.
which obviously doesn't include the Cape MLS. Some of that stuff's
Okay.
duplicated, but
All right.
it's a really good measure of like Boston-ish, we'll call it.
Yeah.
You know, um,
And then of those, how many total are for sale in Essex County?
almost 400 and only 135 under 750.
Got it.
So the total number of homes has decreased in Essex County, and the total
Yeah.
number of what we'll call affordable homes has decreased as well by probably only about 40 homes or so, but that's still like 20%.
Yeah. I was doing the math wrong. I was using the wrong denominator. I was using the statewide denominator for Essex County. I
Yeah,
misunderstood how we were analyzing this data. I apologize.
I think
Sorry to the listeners.
I
I
think I
didn't mean to
mis
disappoint you.
I had
Oh,
it.
you led me in the wrong
I
direction?
did. Yeah, I had it
Oh,
clicked on,
okay.
but I didn't add it over, and I was starting to
Got
panic
it.
when the data just literally seemed like fiction. So I wanted to
Yeah. I
I
was
wanted to
like,
correct
this is some
myself.
crazy shit here
Yeah,
in
whatever. We're
Essex
just gonna
County.
post it anyway, guys. We make
Yeah.
mistakes. It's all good. So,
Yeah. But
um,
we usually get to the right answer,
we did, and we
which
did do
you've
that.
done. Yeah.
Just took 3.5 minutes, right? Um, so yeah. Listen, I think when it comes to, I'm just gonna do one more search here because I don't think it's piling up. I think that
No, only in my mind where I thought we were doing
right,
where I thought we had 3,700 houses left to deal with in
right.
Essex County, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
yeah, and I do think that still from a year-over-year standpoint versus this time last year. Now remember, we've talked about this all summer long. This time last year is really where we started to see inventory start to probably peak because we went through 8 weeks of interest rate rises. But in August of last year, interest rates slid to the low fives. That was the
Yeah,
lowest
and
they were for
everything
last
went
time.
off the shelves.
Correct. Everything
Hotcakes
flew, and then we went
flew.
on a steady rise all the way through October, November, back to actually to where we are right now at 7.25. So we're
Yep.
at the 1 year high of interest rates right now. So inventory from a year-over-year standpoint, it's still down 20%, snapping the chalk line. We're up
Mm-hmm.
from where we were, to be clear, previous. All of Essex County still only 1 month's supply. The average list price $1.5 million, up 18%. So the more expensive homes are actually coming to the market. The average sale price is up 4%. So you've regained any losses of last year. And your average list price of the properties that are sold, not listed, which is the 1.5, that's what's on market right now. The ones
Yeah.
that have sold is actually up almost 8%. So they were close to that $800,000 mark at 787. So slightly over that quote unquote, whatever we want to call it, affordability range. Just absolutely crazy. And things are still selling. At this time last year, they were selling at 106% list price to sale price. Sorry, sale price to list price.
Yeah.
We're still over right now at 103, 104% list to sale price, which is pretty crazy.
So we would call that a seller's market.
100%, yeah. And seller's market for
Okay.
me is always just how much inventory is there. 1 month
Yeah.
supply, you're in a seller's market all day. We'd have to break 4 or 5 months supply to really get to a buyer's market. And don't get me wrong, those do exist in micro markets within the counties, right? But and also just from a days on market, we are up 33% from 24 to 32 right now. But that's still a month. That's still barely on the fringe of price dropping and the like.
Yep.
And days to offer is still within 20 days on average, which is again is up slightly year over year. And I think that's the bigger story that we run into is like in general right now, consumers have choices because inventory is a little bit better. And more specifically, I find that buyers are just simply hesitating, right? And I think you and I have talked about this a little bit offline, but like,
Mm-hmm.
and I've talked about it with my clients, like the buyer who anybody can get a pre-approval right now in like 2 hours, whether it's from Sean's team, Anthony Lapola, Jason Deeb, Rocket Mortgage, whoever. Please don't do it as Rocket Mortgage, but whoever you can get one pretty quick,
Yeah, I
and you
could
can
make one
submit.
on PDF.
You absolutely could, and I could update
Yeah,
one as well, right?
yeah,
And like
yeah. I'll be
pre-qualify.
like
It
Seth
is what it is,
Williams. Yeah,
right? So
loan officer extraordinaire,
the the the
underwriter of
difference
my
is
dreams.
the difference is when you get your offer accepted on a Sunday night, Monday morning, and you finally, hey, hello, loan officer, I got my offer accepted. Can you run the numbers for me? Like people are freaking the fuck out because because when they
I
got quoted,
yesterday, yeah,
when they got quoted, when they did the pre-approval, even 2, 3, 4, or 5 weeks ago, whatever it was, 6.5, and like there's a lot of shock and awe, and I've seen a lot of property go back on market. I've personally seen a lot of buyers just freak out, kind of flip the script. Hey, we're not going to move forward. Thanks anyway. So that's been very interesting to watch too. And I think obviously,
or at the new interest rate, they can't afford it, and their
100%.
pre-approval isn't good, right? So,
Yeah.
like, I think I told you about this. A house up the street from me, 2 days before closing,
Yeah,
after
you
the
did.
sellers moved out, went
They
back
must
on
have
the
been.
market for
They must have
seller
been floating.
financing.
They must have been
Yeah,
floating that. You know.
yeah,
Um,
and it's still on the market. Has had a couple price drops. Like, it's not looking great for that house. And
yeah, it's
then
not good.
I had one yesterday where loan was approved. Buyers don't want to buy. They said, take the deposit. We're good. We
Stop.
out. Stop. Can't stop. Won't stop.
That's
So,
not. Was it a big deposit?
no. It was an FHA loan. So it
Yeah, so
was,
it's nothing.
not huge, lower price point. But, we're supposed to close next week. So, I don't know.
That's
And it
that's
was
that's strange.
atypical. Yep. It was very strange. No negotiating. Like, is it a cost thing? Is it something we can fix? Like, wouldn't respond. Sent a releasing the deposit to the seller, and like wouldn't respond.
Did they sign
But
it?
the buyer signed it. Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah. The seller wants to sue them to enforce. We had to have a tough conversation about how that's
It's
not a
good luck.
thing.
Good luck.
Yeah,
They
but
forfeited. They waved the white flag. That's why. Listen, we talked about
correct.
this in the buyer miniseries, and I
Yep.
understand some loan products. That's the unfortunate reality. And when I
Right.
first bought my house, do you want to know what my deposits were? $1,000 and $2,000. I was so broke.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I get it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Um, shout out to Elizabeth Farrar for taking my offer on that multifamily. But at the end of the day, like, that's why the big deposits matter, because I'm not
Yeah.
walking away from 5%. You're better off closing, cleaning it up, reselling it. Maybe.
But I think this market is creating, these scenarios where, like, when you
No
get
doubt.
that loan back, and it's like it's gone up a point since, you started talking about this, or
Yeah.
several points.
Even more of the reason to echo, talk to your loan officer. If you're an
Yep.
agent out there right now, you have to do your due diligence on the lender. Like,
Yep.
this isn't 2021 where you just like take the best pre-approval or the dude or shove him to somebody. Like, this is hard work right now where you have to do due diligence, make sure that everyone
Mm-hmm.
is actually underwritten in advance, and working with a reliable lender is super important as a realtor right now, or a buyer, right? So, or a seller.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Well, and if you're working with buyers, make sure that your buyers are talking to their loan officers on Fridays to find out how much they can afford that weekend, right? Like, when the interest rates fluctuate this much, you can't rely on last week's data.
No, I sent this to the team. I said, like, do not write an offer without getting an updated loan estimate right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important, because
Yeah.
I'd rather not write the offer and everyone save their mental capacity and save the relationship of agent to agent than write an offer and have to retract 24 hours later because my client's scared about the numbers. Right.
Yep.
So getting that,
Yeah.
sorry to the LOs out there. We're making you work harder than ever, I'm sure, but like, no one wants to do all that work and have something fall apart. So we're doing our due diligence right now to set expectations across the board.
Yeah. It's fluctuating so fast and moving so quickly that I don't think
Yeah,
there's a choice.
I
Now,
agree.
you said something that was super interesting a little while ago about the $50,000 car loan taking away
Yeah,
a $200,000 or more sort
buying
of
power.
buying power.
Yeah.
T- Tell me more about, or let's get your opinion on how you think the reversal of the freeze on student loan payments is
Mm,
going to affect buying power for potentially the market that you're working with, right?
yeah.
Like first time home buyers that haven't had to make loan payments in quite some time. Are you worried at all? Are you thinking about that? Are you talking to the team about that?
We're not.
Do you
Honestly,
care? No. Okay.
I think we're deferring to the loan officer as much as possible. I also don't know, and I don't know if you do. Um, I got to presume that even if you had that debt and it has an associated minimum payment, even though it's suspended, I got to imagine it's still counted against your debt to income,
I don't know the answer to that, but the
right?
way they're
Because
talking about it, it
the way it
almost
shows up on
seems like,
credit, right? It shows
yeah,
the debt. It has to be calculated. They're going to want to see a statement, and if there's
yeah,
no payment due at this time, like if you're buying a house and that's a 30-year freaking mortgage, I would imagine it would be negligent of the loan officer to not factor that in into your debt to income. I think part of the problem is regardless of the student debt, there's loan products that you can go up to 49% debt to income, right? So sure, again, everyone's making more money than ever. Folks with the degrees and the big student loans ideally have good jobs, and everyone I think can still afford more house than they actually want, right? So there's a difference between me being pre-approved for 1 million and me wanting to spend 1 million, and I don't
yeah.
think
Well, in that,
I don't think
yeah,
that release or whatever you want to call it of those payments comes back. I'd have to fact check that with a loan officer, but
yeah,
I it would be very scary for them to have written loans and not factor that in and then have that resume and then put people over the debt to income limit.
right. But they may not. It also may be that they can afford it on paper, but they don't like the ramifications of it, sort of in reality, right? Like
Oh, for
they
sure.
were shopping, right? And they thought this $500 or 600, whatever a student loan payment is wasn't going to be a factor, and then it comes back, and you're like, oh, now I don't want to spend $3,500 on a house. I'd rather
Yeah.
spend 3,000 a month, whatever the numbers are. I
I think
just
I
I've
think you'll
read a
see
little bit
it
about it.
I think you'll see it more on the other end.
On the other end,
I hope. What I mean by that is a lot of clients that I'm helping right now are in financial distress. Okay,
okay.
so I think there's a lot of people in financial distress who are thinking about selling their homes, refinancing their homes in an effort to pay off debt. Not like my
Mm-hmm.
personal clients, but it's like a lot of the consultative conversations that we have. It's like
Yeah,
you're selling right now out of necessity, whether that's upsizing, you know, like the D's we always talk about: diapers, divorce, degrees, um, diamonds, whatever you want to call it, right? Like
yeah,
death. Like you're selling for a reason. Um, Financial stress can be one of those where you liquidate and take the cash, right? So I think that maybe there's going to be people that have been living a certain lifestyle, and as inflation continues to make them rejigger their budgets, and then
yeah.
adding on, like it's like insult to injury. Maybe that debt, maybe that puts people in a bad place. And I also don't think we've seen the ramifications of credit card debt in this country, which just broke, I think, 1 trillion for the first time ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, right, that's very clear that people are living on cards, and so I think there's going to be a lot of other compounding factors that come in that hopefully it's not hopefully, it sounds bad, it's like, but hopefully that leads to some inventory release because people need to sell their house where they have equity and they can use that parachute. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't put too much thought into it. I mean, honestly, for the last 10 years, as helping clients buy and sell, student debt has been a thing. And
Yeah.
so, how long were they paused for? Like 18 months to 2 years?
since 20 like February or March of 2020.
Yeah, so I think it's more of like I got to imagine we're still factored in. We'll fact check that and we'll post it in the
Yeah,
notes, right?
I would assume it was underwritten, but whether or not yeah,
You like it or not
and
is
the
a different
reason
story.
I
That's my
right
point, right? So now I
right
go from I have to resume my $600 payment. I was already living on my Amex Platinum because I'm broke because of all this other stuff and food costs too much money.
yeah
So I'm already living over
yeah
budget. You know, my
yeah
car payment because I got a new car. It's crazy right now. Like I think it's that compounding stress that's going to result in a different type of shift. Now, if you have a house, luckily you can sell it and probably have some equity. If you rent, you're just screwed, right? You
right.
move further away and try and save some money, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah,
It'll
and
be
I heard
interesting.
this morning in the context of retail sales, right? So like one of the things the tailwind or the headwinds facing retail is that the consumer and the younger consumer is going to be hit with the engagement of student loan debt, right? So like
Yeah,
Target, who had mediocre earnings and lowered their forecasts, were talking about student loan debt coming back into being payment to potentially reducing their sales even further. So like, is this going to continue to make retail even more decimated? I don't know. It's just interesting to watch. And then the other big thing that seems to have come out of nowhere again is the Chinese real estate sector is starting to see lots of defaults,
oh
and then
yeah.
who's exposed to the investment in Chinese real estate. It's like a bingo card. Like where's the linchpin going to come?
Yeah.
Like, is it
What
Chinese
happens when
real
I win?
estate? Is
What
it
happens when I win bingo?
when you win bingo? Is like you called it. Like you're a fucking genius. Is really what happens.
Yeah.
You get a new Yeti that says genius.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
keep an eye out for that. So, all right.
yeah,
We're hitting 35 minutes here. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap?
yeah. What are you seeing out there? Like, what are your hot
Yeah.
takes from
Hot take is every
the
single time we
market
hit.
this week?
Yeah, every single time rates sit at or go over 7, I think buyer activity falls off a cliff.
Okay.
Open house attendees that I'm talking to, the people who want to move are still they're still like showing up to look, but they are definitely not writing offers. It's interesting. I doubt we're in an inventory position where we see substantial price drops from a year-over-year standpoint, but I do think that we will have to move prices down on certain properties that are out of reach, and I think that's just
Mm-hmm.
based off a rate, right? So, and I think also just from the listings that I have seen, where we surged to like 3, 4, 5 offers again for a while, and I think we're back to onesies, twosies, and things taking 2, 3 weeks to move if they're priced well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, with a litany of contingencies and whatnot. So, yeah, it's very interesting right now. But I would say, yeah, personally, the buyer activity's definitely dropped off a little bit out there, and I also think that's part of the time of year too, right? So just like when we talked about the 4th of July, weird time, we're running into it. What's looking to be like a very beautiful weekend. Then when we have one more weekend, which is Labor Day, then hypothetically summer's over. Everyone's going to try and do something these next 2 weeks, right? Which is crazy. So just like around the 4th of July, I personally don't want to put anything on the market this week, knowing that we have one good weekend and then the second weekend is Labor Day weekend. It's just not a great time to list at this point. I'd rather push into September, and see what happens with rates between now and then.
Is your boat coming to Short Beach this weekend?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
All
I think
right.
it's
Well,
too
just let me
shallow
know
over
if
there.
it does. No,
I
it's
think it's
not. They boats hang out there all weekend.
for real.
Oh yeah, it's like a big spot for people to hang out in their boats.
Interesting. I just
Short
remember
Beach,
that.
the one like all the way around,
Yeah,
like sort of by my house.
not Nahant Beach. No,
Short
it's the
Beach,
second.
like the
It's the second
it's
cove in.
the second cove in. Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
What's the bottom like there?
Sand,
All right,
all sand,
maybe
no rock in the middle. Tons of
pretty
boats.
really. Send me a
Yeah,
photo.
I'll send you a photo.
I'll have to take a look at it. do some
Yeah.
depths. Do some
I
depth
think we're going
charting.
I think we're going to the beach this weekend.
Wow. Well, you know,
Yeah.
I'll be.
Yeah.
No, we have open houses, I think so.
Well,
But yeah, I think it's definitely we're definitely bringing some more inventory to the market, which is good. And I'm seeing a lot of people move out of state, which is interesting. I'd say like 1 out of 3 clients right now are moving out of state, which is very, very unique.
and do you know where they're going? All different
South.
places, or is
Yeah,
there south?
Yeah, that's southeast, south, Midwest. Yeah, very interesting.
I don't know, man. I could move out. I could move out of
I
state
just think it's the
someday.
cost of living, right? Like
Yeah.
you sell a $700,000 townhouse here, you can go buy a mansion for $400,000 or $500,000 and put some money in the bank and lower your cost of living and pay less taxes and maybe pay no income tax.
Where are we doing that?
You know,
Sign me up.
there's just a lot. I think that's the type of like financial pressure that people are in post COVID.
Yeah.
Like I can work
Yeah.
anywhere, and I still think that we're still going through a little bit of that in the market. So,
All right.
cool.
I wanna.
All right,
I
bud.
wanna
Well,
do that. All right.
well, listen. I think you should. You should.
Yeah.
Life's too short, man. So, good catching up with you, man. On another
Likewise.
Market Minute, and I think we got a couple of killer guests coming up on the regular Word podcast here. We're pretty pinned from here through.
We
October.
are. We're good through like October. We gotta get
Crazy.
back on. I'll get back on that next week and
Crazy town.
see what we can do.
All right, man. Deuces.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Word Podcast Market Minute. Everything you need to know about the real estate market in the greater Boston area in 30 minutes or less. Do us a favor, if you like today's content, give us the like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you share this podcast with a friend.